Tokyo, Japan. My name is Gary Verheller, and I'll be your host for what we call the Substance of Living podcast. Today, we'll look at what we call life's lessons. And I hope this will provide you with some insight, maybe even some inspiration to life's challenges. Welcome to episode 34, entitled Boredom. Boredom. The definition of boredom is to be weary with a lack of interest. And I've met a lot of people that say, I'm bored. I'm bored with life. I'm bored with my job. I'm bored with my spouse. And I never understand that. I think life is fascinating. And what I realized, the person's focus is on themselves. I'm bored. I'm bored with life. I'm bored with my job. I'm bored. The focus is on themselves. I've never met a neurotic person who is thinking of others. A neurotic person continually thinks about me, I, me, I, me. And they fail to see. They fail to be aware of what life offers. For example, for me, what I love in my life, I love the arts. I love dancing, I love music, I love theater, I love the arts. That is the opposite of boredom. I love to see sports. I love to engage in sports of all kinds. I love true, pure competition where people are doing their best and challenging each other to do their best. I love physical activities. I love riding my bicycle. I love going for a walk. I love laying on freshly mowed grass, looking at clouds as they float by over the summer. I love that. That is far from being bored. I love the sciences. I've been lucky enough to work with many scientists over the last 30 years. I love their perspective, how they determine what to study, how they study it, what they learn. When an experiment doesn't go quite as the way they plan, what do they do then? They adjust the experiment and they try it again and try it again. I love that never-ending quest for knowledge and for data and sharing it. I love all forms of entertainment, which is what I talked about with the arts. So let's say you hate your job. Okay, this is what I suggest you do. If I hate my job. Great. Write down all the things that you hate about your job. Now let's expand on that. Take all the things you hate about your present job and add all the things that would make up the worst possible job for you. All the factors, everything. For example, for me, I hate to be cold. So my job would be stationed in Antarctica. I hate to be watched. So there would be in the office, there would be countless cameras. I hate to be laughed at. I could hear people laughing at me, but I was working alone. I love working with people. I hate working alone, so I'd be alone in a cold concrete building with no sunlight. I love sunlight, no sunlight. It's cold. I have only 5 minutes for lunch. I have to sleep on a cold floor. And my job consists of putting numbers in tiny little boxes. If I make one mistake, I have to go all the way back to the beginning. I would hate that job. Now, what do you do with all that information? Flip it. I hate working in Antarctica where it's cold all the time. Work in Hawaii or a tropical island or someplace that has very, very mild winters. I hate working alone. Work with people. I hate dealing with just numbers. Deal with ideas and people. I hate being in a concrete, no-windowed room. Be in a room that has natural sunlight. So you take each one of the things that you hate and you flip it. I hate people that laugh at me. I want to work with people who encourage me and coach me and help me to get better and inspire me to be better because they're so good. So if you're bored with your job, once again, write out everything you hate about your job and then add all of the factors that would make a job the worst possible job you can imagine. Then flip it. I'm bored with my spouse. You started out fascinated with your spouse. And then you became bored. Why? Because you weren't paying attention. Truly knowing someone is a never-ending quest. I've been married to my wife, who I dearly love, for the last 31 years. I'm still learning stuff about her. I'm still being surprised by her. Knowing someone is a great adventure. And having that foundation of love, in which I know in my heart of hearts, there's 3 hearts, by the way. There's a public heart everybody sees. There's a private heart that friends see. And only your closest, dearest friends see your heart of hearts. I know in my heart of hearts, my wife loves me. And she knows in her heart of hearts, I love her. So we have that foundation. And that's a very strong foundation upon which to know each other. So I'm always interested in what she's talking about. And she's interested in me too. And we do things together, just as you did when you first met and you were courting each other. You were doing things. You were going to movies or going to the theater or scuba diving. For my wife and I, it was scuba diving, and it was going to the theater, enjoying fine food and wine, cooking together, bicycling together, exercising together. So the idea is, if you're bored, I'm bored, start learning more about your wife and doing things with her and rediscovering what made her so special and what still makes her so special. Each person sees the world different from me. So if I'm not learning from someone, usually I'm not listening. And that is particularly true of my friends and my wife. If I'm not learning, usually I'm too self-centered. I need to open my eyes, open my ears, and pay attention. The key is myself. Learn about myself. Learn what's important to be in my life. Share that with my wife. Incorporate that into my job. Life is full of wonder if we just choose to see it. Thanks. Thank you for joining us today for the Substance of Living podcast. If you'd be kind enough to consider subscribing, you can contact us through Spotify or Apple Podcasts or connect on Twitter. Join us again next time for what I hope will help you navigate life.